Hey folks, Tyler Mahoney here with TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com. Just got off the water with one of the best guides on the lake. He's been guiding the longest, one of the longest, if not the longest.
38 years this year.
38 years. And I just wanted to introduce you to him. His name's Steve Blake. Steve Blake's guide service goes out of Sterrett Creek Marina. And he's been contributing to Truman Lake Fishing Intel. You're going to see his reports every week. He knows the lake better than anyone else. Will you kind of elaborate just on your experience and all the different areas that you typically like to fish?
I basically fished the lake wide.
Yeah.
Let's go where the bite is.
Right.
Where the best bite is. I dive for white bass and hybrids, which has been really slow this year. Crappie and largemouth. I don't do much catfishing. I grew up in St. Louis, but as a child, 3 of my relatives had cabins here.
Oh, okay.
2 on the Grand and 1 on the Osage, so I was down here about every weekend hunting or frogging or fishing or something.
Absolutely.
With my uncle and my dad and my grandfather. So, in fact, where I used to go to church, Kincaid Cemetery is underwater up there.
Okay.
People, out here in front of Sterrett Creek used to be a minnow hatchery, and we came down here and went frogging.
Yeah.
So I got to see it before the lake was built. It was really helpful.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a lot of years. I used to run 225, 250 days a year. Now I'm 125 maybe.
Semi-retired.
Yeah, I slowed down the last few years. I'll be 70 this next year.
Absolutely. Well, as you just got to hear, Steve is extremely experienced. He got to see the lake before it was filled up into a reservoir like what it is now, which means he knows where a lot of those secret road beds are, those secret fence rows and isolated structure, because he's been living here his whole life.
Town foundation.
Yep, and just like he said, knowing old cemeteries and churches, he knows exactly where all that stuff is, which gives him a leg up on a lot of other folks and can put you on the fish. Steve Blake's guide service out of Sterrett Creek Marina, you need to give him a call. What's your number?
660-525-0692.
Fantastic. So
that's my cell. I'm always available. If I don't answer, I'm out of signal. Leave me a message. I'll return your call.
Sounds good. So real quick, it's the heat of the summer. It's July, late July.
Right.
Couple of quick tips for crappie and bass. What should folks be doing?
For the largemouth right now, early in the morning, late in the evening, the first hour, the last hour, pop-ars, whopper ploppers, and buzzbaits. Main lake of secondary points. It's just that simple. And then once the sun gets up good, you're going to go to your plastics, either a 6-inch or a 12-inch worm, sweet beavers, jig and pig. I like the 5/16 ounce. And you're going to work 6 to 12 feet of water on those same points. And look for the points where the river channel intersects the point, where there's a ledge on one side, and those drop-offs in that 6 to 12 foot deep area are productive. You're not going to catch a ton of fish, but you'll catch some quality.
Right, absolutely.
It's been taking anywhere from 18 to 23 pounds at one time.
Yeah,
fish this year.
I've noticed that. It's been really good bags of fish.
It's come back. We had the big flood last year. We had high water again this year, protected the spawn, and took a lot of pressure off the lake last year. And the lake's come back strong. It's always been good. This lake is a fish factory simply because of the number of bait fish we have. It's just, you saw this morning where we were at. The New Hatch fry covered everywhere we went.
Yeah.
They were on the surface.
Yep.
So, yeah, we've had really good hatches, and we do every year. We've got an abundance of shad, small bait fish. Well, for example, a hybrid on this lake goes 2 pounds a year.
Yeah.
The white bass go between a pound and a pound and a half. So you know you've got a good forage.
Absolutely.
Right now, this time of year, you want to look for flats. And it seems really tough on this end of the lake, which is down here by the dam, to get a bite on over 12 feet deep. It just doesn't seem like there's any oxygen there. I've had some of the catfish guys and the hybrid guys tell me when they get their bait down below 12 or 15, it dies immediately.
Yeah.
So we're looking for brush piles, standing timber on flats in anywhere from 6 to 12 feet of water, 14 feet, and then fishing right parallel on the trees or right at the top of the brush like we did today. We probably caught like 40 fish through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we were only out a couple, 3 hours.
Yeah, no, we did really well, and the key to the summer bite, like you told me today, it's minnows in the summertime, jigs in the wintertime seems to be the
My
pattern.
rule of thumb is from the 1st of November on through the spawn, I use nothing but jig.
Yeah.
I fish a swarm jig from Dixon Outdoors, I was an alien, on a 1/4 ounce head. And the reason I use a 1/4 ounce head is it's heavier, I get it down there quicker, and those fish are anywhere from 12 to 25 feet deep. You've got a lot more stress on your line. You feel the bite much better with that heavier head. Plus, as you're easing along, it stays down better. It doesn't take a sweep up.
Right. Makes perfect sense.
And then after the spawn's over, immediately post-spawn, these fish will move out to the fence rows, the brush piles, and things of that nature, and I go to minnow.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. And we got to see that bite today. And what was really interesting is there was a feeding window.
Yes.
And so
we had about an hour and a half where we had a really good bite.
Yep. And so if you're going to make a trip down here, it may be worthwhile if you're going to drive down from Kansas City. It's an hour and a half, couple hours.
It takes me 2 hours with KCI.
Yeah. Book a trip with a guide like Steve Blake, for one. And two, if you're coming down here by yourself, make sure you allot yourself some time throughout the day, because those feeding windows might occur throughout the day. You might have a quick hour and a half early in the morning, mid-morning. There might be one middle of the day, and then towards the evening.
Our best bite today was after the sun fell at 9 o'clock. And it just like somebody flipped the switch, we started catching fish. The thing of it is, when you don't have that direct sunlight, those crappie can spread out and feed. They're eating those new hatch fry right now. And once that direct sunlight comes in, they can congregate on the brush piles of the timber.
Yeah, and it was really cool. It was evident to see. Just give yourself some time, and the other thing that you talked about too was keep moving. Just keep moving.
Yeah, this is not. You don't want to just come down here and tie up to a tree and sit there all day. You'll find fish in an area, okay, in the summertime. Now, on a brush pile, you may hit a brush pile like we hit one today that we caught 15 fish off of pretty quick. But when you're dipping, you want to kind of stay on the move. Get on a flat, stay in that 8 to 12 foot of water, fish anywhere from 5 to 10 feet down, and 1 or 2 off a tree if you're lucky, maybe 3 at the most. Move to the next tree. Once you find an area where you catch a few fish, then slow down and really work that area. If you're not catching fish, keep trying different areas.
Yeah.
If you're not catching them, they're not there.
You're right. Yeah, it was evident when we got to a couple of those brush piles. It was boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And, it was instantly. You dropped it down.
Even when we were dipping this morning, I mean, the clusters along those fence rows where you had 6, 8 limbs sticking out, you drop down about 4 or 5 feet, bam.
Yep. They're there.
And you begin to recognize the prime trees in the course of the day. Are they in hedges? Are they in hardwoods? Are they in cedars? Are they in water oaks? And you develop a pattern.
Yeah. And so that was another interesting thing I learned today with Steve was we're looking at, Truman has a ton of timber in it, hardwoods, like you said, cedars and hedge trees. And one thing that I hadn't really taken notice of before is the coloration of the hardwoods versus the hedges. The hedges are a little bit
lighter. The
lighter.
hedges and the cedars are very light colored, and the hardwoods are blackish brown.
Yeah, and it's just not something I've taken the time to really fully internalize. Right. And if that's something that you can pay attention to, you might begin to pick up on patterns quicker throughout the day. So that was really cool. Learned a lot today with Steve. I'm looking forward to getting back out again with him.
I think the other most important thing is, and I can't overemphasize this enough, find a depth in the summer and in the winter. Depth is critical. Once you find the depth, you got half the battle.
Yep.
And the other thing is, when you're fishing a jig, when they thump it, set the hook immediately. When you're fishing a minnow, you saw it.
Yep, I did.
I kept telling you, wait.
I lost a lot of minnows. I wasn't listening.
Little tick and jerk. You wait, that fish, I've actually watched them on my underwater camera. They'll come up and they'll pop that minnow 3 or 4 times. And once it quits moving, then they eat it and move off with it. And you want to wait till that rod tip goes down or till it lifts it up and the line goes slack before you set.
Yep, he was absolutely right. It took me a little bit of time to really figure that out. It was tap, 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 tap. And I guess what they're probably doing is they're stunning it, killing it. I would let it, as soon as I figured out to let them play with it for a little bit on that minnow.
We had some fish that took like 5 to 10 seconds before we set the hook.
Absolutely.
And those were the better fish we caught.
Yeah, yep. So that was just a lot of really interesting things that, we're going to try to help you learn on TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com, but you're going to learn it really well by getting out with a guide like Steve Blake. Will you give your number one more time?
660-525-0692.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for tuning in. Make sure to stay up to date by tuning in every week to Truman Lake Fishing Intel. We're going to have lots of great articles, stories, videos with guys like Steve Blake going on from here on out. So we'll look forward to catching you on the next one. Thanks a bunch.